Hi everyone, I'm WABC Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg. This is Wake Up Weather on ABC7 NY and for Weather or Not, sponsored by TD Bank. Well, of course, we're going to be tracking Debby all week long, and the major story with Debby is historic flooding for the southeast. That's after the Category 1 80-mile-per-hour landfall on the Big Bend of Florida. That was just north of Cedar Key, and they got quite a storm surge and tremendous rains across northern Florida. And now we'll watch for a surge for the southeast coast of the United States, along with the historic rainfall that will be the calling card of this storm as it slows down and just soaks for several days over the southeast and even reemerges into the Atlantic. Well, for us, we have several rounds of soaking rain this week and multiple flood threats. And when we talk about the direct connection to Debby, it's more late in the week to start the weekend, although already some tropical moisture, or at least enhanced moisture, is starting to work along a cold front that's going to be coming through over the next 24 to 36 hours. So a flood watch is out for Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday morning. We're going to get into heavy downpours. It could impact the Tuesday evening commute. The heaviest is going to be the first part of Tuesday night, and then into Wednesday morning, there'll be some lingering showers or downpours, especially south. There could be 1 to 2, even up to 3 inches of rain locally. The impact will be flooding in areas of poor drainage. We might have some streams and creeks and small rivers that actually get to bank full. So we'll be watching that very closely, as off and on waves of rain will be attacking us right through the start of the weekend. Now, it won't be raining all the time. There'll be lulls, and we'll help you navigate through that. Right now, the windows where things will be fairly quiet will be the first half of Tuesday, late Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon, and then into Thursday morning. It does look like showers will start to ramp up again midday Thursday on. We'll get into some more downpours, though, Friday into Saturday, because when it comes to Debby, which is, you can call it stalling or meandering, just slowly moving through the southeast and soaking that area, the impact here more directly is Friday and Saturday. The actual core of Debby, that was once a hurricane, will be moving either over or just to our south and east sometime during the day on Saturday. You know, we've been talking about heavy rain episodes from mid-July into early August, and we've been talking about that on Whether or Not. We've talked about something called precipitable water, and that's essentially just looking at the moisture content in the atmosphere. And it's just a great tool to help forecast when we're more vulnerable to some of our heaviest rainfall. And there are some signs that with that cold front coming through on Tuesday and stalling over the area and into early Wednesday, we've got some enhanced precipitation. And overall, there's definitely tropical moisture that's rounding the perimeter of the Bermuda High, and that's working into that front. But when you talk about really a direct connection to Debby, that starts happening in the middle of the week. Now, we talked about that lull through most of the day on Wednesday. There is a gradient across the area, meaning the farther north you go, there's some pretty dry air coming in. Now, whether the clouds will break or not is in question, but I think we'll have a dry day in the northern suburbs on Wednesday, where some of that tropical moisture is actually getting just to about Cape May, Atlantic City. So the southern part of New Jersey, you may still be in and out of showers during Wednesday during the afternoon hours. Notice, even on Thursday, we're still trying to hold off that real surge of tropical moisture, but I think once we get to the afternoon hours, it starts to move in. And then there's a clear signal come later Thursday night into Friday, and especially on Saturday. That's when the moisture content of the atmosphere is at its peak on Saturday morning. That's when the core of what was once Debby is moving the closest to us. But that also means there's good news about the second half of the weekend. And even, could there be some drying here later Saturday afternoon, especially west? Not out of the question. But I'm definitely confident that once we get in the second half of the weekend, we've got a great dry push. The remnants of Debby go out to sea, and we salvage the second half of the weekend and even into early next week. By the way, with that, because there's a dip in the jet stream coming in even later Sunday and Monday, there still might be an isolated thunderstorm in there, but we definitely dry out and get rid of that tropical air mass. Looking at the futurecast on Tuesday morning, with that front, we've had severe thunderstorms that were over upstate New York. In fact, there was an EF1 tornado that went right through Buffalo, middle of the day on Monday. While the leftovers of those thunder showers are able to reach our northern suburbs into Tuesday morning. So north and west, there might be a shower, an isolated thunder shower to the north. Then clouds will be around. There'll probably be some hazy breaks. And that front, it's going to be key to see where that front kind of gets to and throws on the brakes. All signals are it's over parts of Long Island, back into southern New Jersey, maybe just south of I-78, but close enough to New York City that once we get after lunchtime, thunder showers are going to start to bubble up. Initially in more of a focused, narrow area as we go through the afternoon, so the early part of the evening commute may be most challenging, and the LIE, maybe it's the southern state, down the Garden State Parkway, close to I-78, so parts of New York City get into some of those thunder showers. Maybe it's more likely in Brooklyn and Queens and Staten Island than it is in the Bronx. So we'll see how close it is. But I am more confident that, let's say, northernmost New Jersey into the Hudson Valley and Connecticut will have a quiet day for the most part on Tuesday, after that morning shower threat, that is, along and north of I-84. But it's going to look a whole lot different deeper into that evening commute when that areas of showers and heavy downpours, maybe even a couple of severe thunderstorms, when that area all starts to blossom. So by later in the evening commute, we've got more widespread heavy downpours, the potential for some flooding in locations, and I think it's going to be a really rough first part of Tuesday night with these heavy downpours. The worst should start to taper toward midnight, but I mean, even look at a sample of what it might be doing in Suffolk County just before 11 o'clock at night, and some heavy downpours across the Hudson Valley. After that, the front is off to the south, and on Wednesday, remember, there's a push of dry air. There's some tropical moisture that's trying to get just about as far north as Cape May, so showers may be a little bit more persistent over the southern half of the viewing area. Some lingering showers Wednesday morning. Then the bulk of the day is just really cloudy and cool. I mean, our daytime highs on Wednesday are more typical of the lows that we've been experiencing through July and August, which, I mean, are close to normal. But imagine just only reaching the upper 60s and lower 70s on Wednesday with a cool breeze out of the east-northeast. And again, limited shower activity. If there's going to be some brightening in the skies, it's north and east of New York City. Just rewinding, I just do want to stress, talking so much about the flood threat coming up with these downpours later Tuesday and Tuesday night. There is a severe risk with this. There's definitely the idea that some of these storms could have some damaging wind gusts that come through along with the flooding rains and, of course, dangerous lightning. Looking at a sample of some of our model output, just in the initial rainfall with the front, it's anywhere between, let's say, 1 and almost 3 inches of rainfall. I don't think that's unrealistic. I mean, you can see even a sample size of just some of the stations with this particular model, about 8/10 in the park, but as much as 4 inches over parts of the island. That's the way something like this could work. You have a localized area where multiple showers are going over the same places, and you get several inches of rain, and it's a case of the have and have-nots. So it's definitely something we're going to watch as we go through later Tuesday and Tuesday night. Now, the setup on the weather map is that we have this front that's approaching, and of course we have Debby. And right now, they're more opposing forces. They're kind of not working together just yet. You can tell, like, at times, the front senses some of the tropical moisture from Debby, and ultimately it's going to be absorbed into it. But that's not happening just yet. It's really two separate systems right now. Debby's going to be spending Tuesday going through Georgia and ultimately emerging into the Atlantic. So you've got this fire hose of tropical moisture coming in and very strong winds, and you also have a lot of storm surge coming into the southeast, which we'll look at. I wanted to just show you the overall steering winds and setup and what's happening. You've got the strong westerlies and jet stream coming across the northern tier of the country, but there's no driving winds when it comes to Debby. So it's just kind of wobbling in place. And then ultimately, once it goes off into the Atlantic, which it may strengthen, and I'll show you the track in a moment, then once we get into Thursday, now it starts sensing this trough coming into the upper lakes and into parts of the high plains, and that's digging down. And now all of a sudden, the storm's feeling that pull, and this trough will scoop up that storm and start giving it some direction. So it'll start accelerating up the East Coast come Friday and into Saturday, and ultimately be kicked out by the end of the weekend. Now again, there is an upper low here that's swinging in to the northeast. That is a cool pool of air aloft. So when you have summer sunshine coming back on Sunday, you have that cool pool aloft. You'll have sun, and then you'll have cumulus clouds forming, and you might have a stray shower in the afternoon. But we need this. We need this to kick this storm offshore and into Atlantic Canada. Back to the actual specific track when it comes to Debby. Again, moving through Georgia, South Carolina border, and into the Atlantic Tuesday into Wednesday morning. And remember, it's moving into the Atlantic as a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm, and it's moving over very warm water again, so it has a chance to intensify into at least a high-end tropical storm. It could even become a Category 1 hurricane, not out of the question. Probably going to make landfall sometime later Thursday, into Thursday evening once again, in parts of near the North Carolina, South Carolina line. Then it will start moving in, losing its tropical characteristics. I mean, maybe it's a tropical depression over North Carolina. Maybe it becomes extra tropical, at least some type of hybrid-looking storm as it goes through Virginia and back toward the Delmarva. Maybe still a tropical depression at that point. But nonetheless, it's not so much about the wind at that point, although we'll get breezes and probably will be windy along the coast. But the fact is, the core of that low that was once a hurricane is now getting closer to us or going just to our south and east and should give us some of our heaviest rainfall. Back to that storm surge, anywhere from the Georgia coast all the way into South Carolina up to about Charleston, there's a storm surge warning, 2 to 4 feet of surge. So talking about the rainfall totals, check this out. I mean, through Saturday, looking over the next 5 days here, there could be 10 to 20 inches or more. There might be some spots that actually get close to 30 inches. South Carolina has a chance to set the state record in rainfall from a system like this with over 2 feet of rain. For us, I think we're looking at amounts that'll be anywhere from 2 to even 5 inches. I mean, some spots can get a little higher. That's combining, the 1 to 2 or 3 inch rainfall that we get with the first front, and then the additional rainfall from the remnants of Debby. And that's why, some areas could top that 5 inch mark. We're going to get a tremendous amount of rain. Probably get, August worth rainfall. Which is just, I believe, over 4 inches of rain. We could get that out of this entire week. So something to be concerned about. We just hate to see it come all at once. I wanted to get into a temperature discussion because we hit 90 degrees. We've got a big temperature change coming up in the forecast. We hit 90 degrees on Monday, and that's the 19th 90-degree day of the season. The average is 15, way ahead of last year's pace. And there'll be more to go, but not in the short term. If you look at the Climate Prediction Center and what we're looking at beyond the 7-day through the middle of August, it is a below normal signal because that jet stream is the prevailing flow is coming out of the northwest. So we're getting our flow out of Canada rather than, the surge of warm and humid air out of the southwest around the Bermuda High, where it looks like we could get frequent fronts with that. So that may mean additional precipitation too. I'll talk about that in a moment. But check this out. I mean, there's not even a sign of extreme heat in there. Number one, of course, all the tropical moisture and cloudiness and periods of rain are keeping us in the 70s here as we go through the rest of the week. And then we get into the weekend, we get into the weekend of the 11th here, the 10th and the 11th, we're in the 70s. And only in the low 80s, which is a couple degrees below normal. But at least it is getting a little bit warmer as we go into the week of the 11th. In terms of precipitation, again, a little slightly above normal signal. And I just think that's because you're getting frequent fronts coming in from the northwest. So we might get some afternoon shower, thunder shower threats. But it doesn't look, there's no clear tropical threat coming up in that time frame. Short-term rain chances, again, I talked about the later Tuesday into Tuesday night and early Wednesday. Then, of course, starting Thursday afternoon, it's renewed, and Friday and Saturday is the direct impact from the remnants of Debby, and then we dry things out second half of the weekend into early next week. So here is your AccuWeather forecast. 78 degrees at 7 in the morning on your Tuesday. The morning commute is fine for most, although I think along and north of I-84, we might have a couple showers or a thunder shower. That's mainly in our northern suburbs. The city should be dry. We're warm and muggy. Through the day tomorrow, clouds, some hazy sunshine, but all bets are off after lunchtime with some showers and drenching thunderstorms that can come in here during the afternoon, especially into your Tuesday evening. So it's an AccuWeather alert day, not for the first half of the day, but especially deeper into the day for those afternoon showers and a heavy thunderstorm. Boaters and beachgoers, on a few hours at the beach, you're going to figure maybe mid to late morning through lunchtime is the best time. West wind going south 5 to 10 is very choppy, boaters, 4 to 6 foot waves. Water temperatures are nice, but the rip current risk is very high. Check with your lifeguards and have a plan to get off the beach when thunderstorms start to pop or showers or heavy downpours start to pop after lunchtime. Air quality will be moderate. The pollen count medium to high. The UV index isn't an 8. We'll have some breaks in the clouds, although clouds will definitely dominate. Tomorrow night, the AccuWeather alert continues. First half of the night's rough, 66 degrees. Showers and thunderstorms, the heaviest storms the first part of the night. Watch out for flooding. Here's your 7 days. A lot of red on there. AccuWeather alert. Second half of Tuesday into early Wednesday. There should be a nice lull there on Wednesday, but that's a cool day. 72 degrees and lots of clouds. Maybe a break to the north and east. On Friday, there's a little sun through the first half of the day, but now it looks like a cloud over, and I think some showers can come in during the afternoon hours. So that's a new trend here. And then, of course, an AccuWeather alert Friday and Saturday for some tropical showers and downpours. Heaviest could be Friday night into Saturday morning. Our best case is we get some drying later Saturday, and maybe it even dries out and starts to clear out from west to east later Saturday, but I'm definitely more confident that we'll see that drying Sunday. Partly sunny, less humid. May have to include an afternoon shower, a little disturbance coming through, but overall a drier day with a mix of sun and clouds, and a mix of sun and clouds on Monday, and about 82 degrees. Lot to cover this week, and again, things are subject to change with any track or difference in speed with the remnants of Debby, but I like how we've laid things out right here, and when we're seeing the lulls, things are starting to come into focus with this. You can always get your weather information on ABC7NY 24/7. Thanks for listening to Whether or Not. We'll see you next time, rain or shine.